If Godzilla were transported to the world of Monster Hunter, what would happen? Where would he go? Where would he settle on the food chain? Would he be the planet's new alpha? And finally, how would he interact with the Hunters Guild, and what would their relationship be like? To kick things off, we first have to think about the environment that G-Man will be entering into, which has an energy richness that seems to be similar to that of the Hollow Earth. Except it's not the core of the planet like that, it's the whole planet. Considering the sheer volume of large predatory monsters that live on this planet, and the fact that it has multiple species of monsters that are as large and larger than Godzilla, there's more than enough energy here for it to house an extra kaiju-sized monster without Godzilla starving to death. As a matter of fact, I would say Godzilla doesn't even put a dent in the available resources that this planet has to offer. However, this does lead to our next big question in all of this, and that is, where exactly will he go? Well, if the MonsterVerse movies have taught us anything, it's that he's okay with letting other monsters have the most energy-dense areas as their den or domain, and not having it belong to him. We see this in Godzilla x Kong New Empire, where Tiamat has the most energy-dense spot on the planet as her lair, and Godzilla lets her have it at least until he decides he needs it for himself. And that only happened because of the looming threat of Shimo and Scar King. Prior to this, he was just sleeping in the Colosseum, and in the books, we're told that he does this because the Colosseum reminded him of the ruins that he lived in that were destroyed in King of Monsters. So, it's reasonable to say that he might come across some ruins from the ancient civilization and decide to make that his home. A couple of other options are, since this is a new world and he's not exactly sure what kind of threats there are, could sense the energy of the Everstream and head there instead. There's less civilization there, but it's filled to the brim with bioenergy, so he would have access to an easy power-up if he ever felt that he needed it. And the third possible option to me is somewhere near the Dragon Torch. This has loads of energy, ancient ruins, and could be the perfect balance between the two for him. Now, the next big question is, where will Godzilla settle in the food chain of the Monster Hunter verse? Right off rip, we can put the overwhelming majority of monsters on this planet underneath Godzilla. They don't even stand a chance against G-Man. However, there are a good number of creatures that might not only mess with Godzilla, but could mess him up. Truth be told, I don't actually think that the threats he'll face will be from other large monsters. While there are creatures like Dolometer and Laviente that are well within Godzilla's weight class, I actually think he would win a fight against these guys. In a team effort, they could likely overwhelm him, but they're well known to be solitary creatures, so they're probably not going to do that, and then anything else close to Godzilla's size, like Gogmazios, are going to be a cakewalk for Godzilla. There are a lot of fire-powered monsters in Monster Hunter, but that's the number one thing he's resistant to is heat. So none of them are going to be able to do anything to him, but there are some other special classifications of powers that could put a hurt on G-Man. First, I want to address Geismagorm. If Godzilla were to settle in an area where Geismagorm is, I could see the Curio being sent out to try and steal life force from Godzilla. I don't see this going very well for Geismagorm though, because the moment Godzilla senses someone is siphoning his energy away, he's gonna seek out the source and put an end to it. And once Godzilla finds him, Geismagorm is done for. Now, Malzeno could be obnoxious for Godzilla, because he can not only leech life force from Godzilla like Geismagorm, but he's also fast and nimble enough to dodge anything Godzilla could do. This could end up being like a parasitic relationship, kind of like ticks on a lion. They don't have the power to put Godzilla down, but I could see Malzeno flocking to the area and seeing Godzilla as an all-you-can-eat energy buffet that they can feast off of when they're hungry and then take off. There are a lot of powers like this that would be obnoxious for Godzilla and possibly even painful, but couldn't put him down, and the monsters that use them are either too small or fast for him to be able to put them down. He kinda just has to deal with it. Now, let's talk about some potential real contenders here, starting with Fatalis. He does not stand a chance against Godzilla. First, I don't subscribe to the idea that White Fatalis actually moved that moon. It's never said or actually shown, and I'm not here to speculate. So we're gonna go off of what we actually see Fatalises do. Physically, he does not have the strength to put Godzilla down quick enough before he gets put down himself. So the only real chance he's gonna have is trying to go long distance with his breath attacks. From what we see of Fatalis' breath attacks, it can get to around 25,000 degrees Celsius, which is certainly really hot and dangerous to almost any creature in existence, but Godzilla has tanked things like nuclear bomb detonations at point-blank range. That reaches over 100 million degrees Celsius, and he's just fine. Fatalis' breath attack is like a cool breeze on a summer day. I see Fatalis testing his grounds here, but he either gets chomped, smashed, swatted, or splattered, and either that or runs away. Then I see the rest of the Fatalis population never messing with Godzilla again, and we really only see them like every 1,000 years anyways. Elatrion is in a similar place. He might test him out to see where he stands, but none of his elemental attacks are going to do anything. Even Eschaton Judgment is going to pale in comparison to nuclear bombs. Now, Aruen or Nergigante, especially since it's kind of considered nature's form of balance, might also go take a stab at Godzilla, and with his metal spikes, I could see him even doing some harm and penetrating his hide. But with his regeneration and the fact that Nergigante just doesn't have the mass needed to really put him down, I don't see that going too far either, and one hit would be enough to take down a Nergigante. I only see 2 monsters in all of Monster Hunter that actually have a power set that could hurt Godzilla, and the second one of these are the only one that I think could actually put him down. First up is Safi Jiva. What gives Safi a chance is 1, its intelligence is stated to be higher than that of a human, meaning it can strategize and think ahead. So I could see that matched with its ability to absorb energy insanely quickly and able to regenerate health, it could go in, attack Godzilla, mess around with him for a little bit, and before it ends up getting killed, steal some energy and take off. I don't think Safi Jiva could put Godzilla down, but I could see him settling within flying distance of Godzilla's territory, so he could fly in, steal energy from the environment, or even Godzilla himself, and then take off before Godzilla has a chance to engage. Another parasitic relationship, but he would probably be the most damaging of them all. Now, the monster that can surprisingly take Godzilla to his knees, literally, is Shara Ishvalda. Now, to start this off, I don't think these two would ever actually get into a conflict with each other, but if they did, Shara is uniquely equipped to take down Godzilla. In the comics, Muto Prime has an earthquake-style attack that's able to shatter Godzilla's dorsal plates, and if you've seen my video about Shara Ishvalda, you know that his beam attacks are basically an earthquake gun. So this would mean that Shara Ishvalda would be able to tune in to the resonant frequency of Godzilla's dorsal plates and shatter them. Not just that, but he could tune into the resonant frequency of his bones and shatter those as well. And that's not even all he can do. We learn in Monster Hunter World that Shara Ishvalda's subterranean lifestyle is possible because he can use his sonic beam attacks to liquefy sand and stone to travel underground. He could use this to create sand pits underneath Godzilla's feet, destabilizing him and making him fall, or even completely burying him underground. Given that Shara Ishvalda is known to live an isolated lifestyle, hardly ever revealing itself, I don't think they'd be coming to blows, but even if Godzilla trespassed on Shara's territory, I think it would just move. All this means Godzilla settles as the top dog on the planet, and he will likely even consider himself the alpha. He's capable of dispatching pretty much anything that could be an issue, and the ones that he can't dispatch are basically like flies anyway. And the final question we need to ask is, how would he get along with the Hunters Guild? Given that both the Guild and Godzilla have a tendency to focus on maintaining the natural order of things, I think they would get along pretty well. Godzilla usually leaves humanity alone unless they're doing something he deems to be a threat, like making a mecha Godzilla, but the guild's not gonna do something like that. Godzilla is seemingly intelligent enough to know when something means him harm or aims to help him, so I could see him recognizing the guild as something that he could use to his advantage. And the same goes for the guild. While they may not be a team up in the traditional sense, they both would be able to recognize they're not attacking each other and could work towards the same ends from different angles. The only thing here is Godzilla's interests are pretty much only going to be planetary level threats. He's not going to go off to hunt a Gormagala infecting a local ecosystem with the frenzy virus. That's what the guild is going to have to do on their own. So the guild will have plenty of business they need to tend to on their own, but if something planetary came along that threatened the balance of nature or Godzilla's rule, he would be right alongside them doing what needs to be done. Now, if you want to know what would happen if Godzilla did go to blows with the Hunters Guild, then you need to watch this video next.